Hey, soca lovers, it's Soca Say So.
And this chick.
And we're back with episode 2 of season 7. And this season, we're tackling the topic, are we over it?
Are we over it? Yeah. So in this episode, we're asking the question, are we over being triggered? I don't know how many of you are even paying attention to what's happening on social media. And if you're not, please don't now go look. But yeah, a lot of people are triggered with what's going on globally with wars around the world, genocides around the world, political issues here at home, executive orders being passed, ICE raids, and then, of course, just layoffs and all that great stuff that's affecting our economy. Still not sure what the price of eggs are, but whatever. Hey, yeah. So are we over being triggered? I'm over being triggered.
I definitely am, and not at the same time. It's like there's definitely it seems to be part of the process to make us feel triggered and want to shut down and not pay attention until it's too late. Some could argue it's already too late for some of these things, right? Because people have been in the throes of war for many years. People have lost lives and are dealing with famines and all kinds of other things. But here in America, it is like just the beginning of a whole lot of changes that many of us are just not prepared for. And so I go minute to minute on no, don't tell me to I gotta know. Let's read up on everything. Um, it's a lot, it's heavy, and it just my brain shoots to other things in history. So I'm triggered.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people are talking about history repeating itself. So one of the major issues that's been in the news for a while, for over a year, is Gaza, the war in Gaza. And of course, Free Palestine is still an active hashtag, but the current war in Gaza started with the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, where they killed, I think, over 1,200 people, captured about 250 hostages, which led to then Israel retaliating and just bombing the hell out of everything in Gaza, claiming that they suspect Hamas is in, schools, hospitals, roads, affecting, everything. And it was only on January 19th this year that a ceasefire deal finally was implemented. Take from that what you will, but the ceasefire includes the return of the hostages on both sides. So seeing them reunite with their families after being away for about 15 months is a lot. So if you're checking those hashtags and looking at that, yes, it's like every day you're being triggered. You're seeing, supplies being halted. You're questioning America's part in the conflict, as well as other nations and how they are supplying weapons to countries who's our allies, etc. Um, yeah, it's a lot, and it's been a lot for 15 months.
Mhm.
A long time to be constantly watching devastation and just children being pulled out of rubble. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. And um it's hard to watch, and yet and still you have to think about how does this affect your life? And you know, let's think about sometimes I'll hear about someone passing away. I've never met them in my life, and I'm crying
Mhm.
because of circumstances, because of humanity. Just care about what happens to other people and the people around them. A whole nation in turmoil has a rippling effect.
Mhm.
It is devastation on the people on the ground, and it is setting up a history that you don't know. Like, what does this mean for the child that survives? What does it mean for that child? What does it mean for the children around the world watching this? Can this
Mhm.
happen where I am? It's a lot. It's a lot. And I grew up in the 80s where we were praying for peace. We're always praying for
Mhm.
peace. And,
I think
I
that's
just
been our
want,
whole lifetime.
yeah, I just want peace in the world. That's all I want, and we're in a huge turmoil, I know we've got a lot of other devastation to talk about. And it's triggering. It is hard to watch and then try to figure out how do you help?
Hmm.
How do you help? Because there's a lot of times I'm triggered about, oh man, last time something happened, I didn't do anything and X, Y, and Z rippled, or I did do something and it didn't seem to do much. So it's sends you on a personal
Yeah.
roller coaster as well.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And you also had, people being pressured to say things and take a stance, and then people being pressured to not say things and take
Hmm.
a stance, and what that means for different corporations and other interest groups that, I mean, with any war, someone has an interest in the conflict. Someone either wants it to continue or needs it to stop. And
Hmm.
so there are a lot of different sides of the issue, but I definitely think, you can't not be on the side of humanity. You can't not be on the side of ending genocide. Like
Right.
I think that's a pretty clear one to
Yeah.
say, yeah, maybe we don't bomb the hell out of children. Maybe that's a controversial take, but I think that should be a no-brainer.
Yeah. Separating families, starving people out, keeping them away from the basic needs,
Mhm.
is a lot. And
Yeah.
and and then you can scroll and then read about the Congo.
Yes, yeah, because it's not enough. It's not enough to have a whole genocide and war going on in Gaza. There's also a war going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo that has been happening for a while. I actually found an article, yesterday, from July 2010 about how your smartphone might be aiding genocide.
Uh,
And yeah, basically, I'm going to boil this down and do a huge disservice because it is very nuanced and there's a lot of layers to this, and there are some things I don't even understand, still doing research. Definitely encourage you to do your own research to understand what's happening there. But one of the issues that people have been talking about for years is how we in America and in the West are affected by what's happening in the Congo. And one of those things is the cobalt mines.
mhm,
The cobalt actually fuels our batteries for our smartphones and electronics. And so the more we purchase those, the more we create the demand for it, the more there is this need to go into the mines. But when people actually were on the ground and seeing the conditions, they were calling this slave labor, child labor. They're using very outdated, antiquated equipment to actually access this cobalt from the mines. They're using children to get into smaller spots in the mines, and lots of lives have been lost. And this is all because there's this global need for the cobalt for the electronics. And so people, I think last year, maybe even the year before, said, hey, just don't upgrade your smartphone. Like, it's the least we can do. And of course, you can't tell capitalists to not capitalize. And they're like, no, I need to upgrade my smartphone more than I care about what's happening in the mines in the DRC. Then cut to recently, there's almost a replay of the 94 conflict with Rwanda, where there is now, they're called the M23 rebel forces that are
mhm.
allegedly Rwandan backed. M23 because the peace agreement was signed March 23rd and they feel like it's not being held up. And so, yeah, they've taken over Goma. There's like water and power have been cut. There's so much fighting on the ground there. Again, anytime there's a war and a conflict, people have an interest in it. This is
Mhm.
a very mineral rich nation. And so lots of hands are probably behind the scenes encouraging the fighting.
Yeah, and it's hard not to take it personal when you actually start delving into the conversation about the cobalt mining, and you're like, ugh, but I need a phone to talk to people. What are my options, right? I'm not the one saying get the materials from there, and if I don't get my phone from there, where do I get it from? Right? Who am I getting it from? What company can I go to? It's really hard to see that you have a personal stake in some way or shape or form, possibly in a conflict, in a place where people, they look like you, they're
They
human.
look like us.
They're
Yeah.
human, all right? And again, loss of life, children not being able to go to school, especially not being able to go to school safely, which means that's a very long time of a generation of people
Yeah.
not being properly educated, and death, famine, wars, constant fear.
Hmm.
Constant fear is an issue that we feel worldwide. If
Hmm.
you, I mean, I'm an empath. If you have any sort of, connection with vibrations, this is going to affect all of us.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so it is so, it's hard to stay on top of the news and keep your emotions in check at the same time. And so sometimes you got to choose one, right? Like I've got personal issues, I got personal battles, and today I don't have it to take it in. And then tomorrow I need to get back in the books and figure out what organization can I join, what can I do to support, which politician do I need to call, what do I need to do? But oof, I'm over it. I'm so over it. Just be
I
nice to
think, yeah.
people.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we've created societies and systems that rely on, you know what, that over rely on certain things. I don't necessarily think you need to upgrade your smartphone every year.
Right.
Like, it's really not changing that much. Like, it's really not that serious. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to know where you actually can draw that line because, well, as you know, but our listeners and viewers don't know, that last year I wanted to go to Rwanda. I had a trip planned to go to Rwanda. Circumstances made it so that I couldn't go, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go this year. And then I read through the news and I'm like, well, dad, nabbit, I should have gone last year because I don't think it's going
Mm-mm.
to be a good idea to go this year. So even just travel and exploration is being affected by just where is it safe to go? Where do we not have a conflict? And of course, with the new president in office, we are getting so many more conflicts.
You used to say it's safe to be home. It's safe to be in America. Now I'm questioning it. I'm questioning it. On a low level, I'm questioning it, and it is rising like by the hour. By the hour.
Yes.
Let's talk about these ICE raids
Oh my
and
gosh.
apparently ICE quotas.
Yeah. 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 We won't even get into, the recent statements from the New York City mayor, because why would we go down that rabbit hole again? Um, Look it up, guys. I'm not even going into it. I will be triggered in this episode right now, and it'll be a whole different rant. But yes, the idea that ICE has always been operating, or what was it before it was ICE? I forget. But immigration officials have always been operating. This is not new. It's just ramped up and a bit more barbaric. That
Mhm.
now you have schools trying to be safe spaces. My goodness, the role of teachers and admins is changing from just educating children to now having to protect them from shooters and from ICE agents who are coming on the grounds to rip the children out of schools because their parents are illegal or whatever. Because
Mhm.
some of it is not even just illegal, it's you're waiting for things to process, you're still in the pipeline, but it hasn't
Right.
gone through yet. And so, yeah, just
Yeah.
insane.
This whole rhetoric of illegals, and I came here legally. I do not buy that everybody knows what the legal routes
Hmm.
are. And a lot of people are just blanket statementing that, people from certain areas just can't come here legally. And there's also a lot of seeming we're not talking about certain other countries. They were not talking about European nations where apparently no one comes illegally from those places, because I don't
Course
hear
not.
anything about people from European nations being hauled away because they're there illegally in mass numbers. Not yet. Um, it's a scary situation when people have to worry about if they should bring their children to school or not,
Mhm.
for fear of them being taken away or their kids being hauled away. Either one. Birthright citizenship um, has been an issue in my family and many other families for Caribbean people, and now you really have to get into the details. Like,
Yeah.
when can you be considered a citizen if you're born to someone who's not a citizen? What is completely excluded? What is not? And people
Yeah.
are like becoming lawyers. They're putting on the glasses now. They are really
Well, it's
digging
also a
in.
constitutional amendment. Like if you're born on US soil, you become a US citizen. And, there's of course a lot of conversation about, well, if you're here illegally, you shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. These people pay taxes
Mhm,
because you can't escape taxes regardless of your status, apparently.
mhm,
Like, there's a lot that there is a contribution to the economy of America. This is not just people hiding underground in basements and whatnot. These are people who are actively working and being vital parts of
mhm.
our economy and our social structure. And they're being kicked out, or they're afraid they're leaving because they're like, yo, this is just not even worth it. And what's crazy to me is when you put a certain face on things, you can get people to vote against their own best interest. The fact that I am hearing our own Caribbean people talking about things and not understanding that immigration doesn't only say Mexican.
Right.
Doesn't only say Mexican. It says Haitian, it says Grenadian, it says Guyanese, it says Puerto Rico. No, not even Dominican now, because they were in Puerto Rico getting the Dominicans out, which now we consider Puerto Rico part of the US, but not when we don't want to consider Puerto
No,
Rico
not
part of
during
the
the
US.
election period, but okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a lot, and it's very frustrating. It is very frustrating because there are a lot of people, like you said, who don't really understand what illegal actually means.
Mhm.
Illegal could actually just mean not yet legal
Right.
in process.
And I'm triggered by as a black person in America because I know anytime I face authority, there is a chance that that authoritative figure can think that I'm being uppity, I'm being, I'm being too loud, I'm being too mean, and they can take some deadly action against me, and they're
Hmm.
covered in that. And I'm nervous for a lot of people, because now it just seems like, well, I just came, I asked them a question. They said, nope, I'm not here. I'm not a citizen. They said, okay, kindly get in the van. And that was that. And I am afraid that we're going to see, people shot down in the streets, people chased down in ugly ways,
Hmm.
to meet these quotas and to get people that they believe do not belong, which we've already heard that people who are legal have been swept up in these raids already. And so once you're swept up, now you just have to get representation in order to get out. It's not just that easy.
Hmm.
Right. So I'm triggered in all kind of ways with that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, especially when you're talking about children too. Like children going to
Mhm.
school, children who don't know any other country
Mhm.
being pulled out of school and taken away. And to hear some of the rhetoric from the other side about how, well, you know, if you were doing things the legal way, everything would have been fine. And how many times have we heard that for when Black people are shot? Like, well, if you just complied,
Yep.
and it's really from a stance of this can't happen to me, so you must have done something wrong
Yeah.
until it happens to you. And then you're like, wait, what? I thought I
Yeah.
was voting to get those people out. I didn't think
Mhm.
you'd come for me too.
Right. And so we start like dragging diplomats' kids out of schools and in
Hmm.
colleges and throwing them on a bus, then maybe there'll be a different conversation. Um, it's I see a lot of bad happening, just based on that.
Yeah. And that's just one of the executive orders for repealing this birthright citizenship. There's also the conversation around there's only two genders.
I'm just stuck on why is that like
Why is it even
first
coming up?
first order of business? Like
Yeah, yeah. To refer to individuals by their sex and not their gender. You know what's crazy? And I posted it the other day. Caitlyn Jenner.
no
Congratulations, Mr.
words.
President. And it's like, you,
Bruce, Bruce.
read it? Did you read it?
What?
You have to remember, Caitlyn Jenner spent most of their lives as a privileged celebrity white man.
Yeah.
It is very hard now to change that song and just feel like you understand the plight of women now.
Wouldn't think it would be that hard. I wouldn't think it would be that hard. I can understand how other people feel in different circumstances. I do not have to be in their full skin to understand, like at least the
Yeah.
surface of it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the in depth of every single thing. Fine, but really,
But again, why
and
is
this is not
it?
a woman's issue, right? This is not a
Yeah.
woman's issue. This is like a legit, like your individual self. He's saying you cannot be considered what you want to be considered because you were born a man. So we're gonna call you a man.
Yeah. You go back to Bruce. We're gonna just call you Bruce every time you walk into the room. But it's more than that. Like this is, you're just perpetuating transphobia, which is, the right has always tried to do. It's like, oh my gosh, they might go into the bathrooms. Um, because right now they can't go into the bathrooms because there's a sign. And so they're like, dang nabbit, I can't get in there. I'm gonna go through a whole hormone therapy, surgery, rack up all kinds of medical bills just so I can get behind that door.
Ridiculous.
You definitely you can make people, if you just keep them fearful, it's easy to control, right? So if the boogeyman is a trans person, then they don't see all the other things that are happening that's taking away their own civil rights and their civil liberties. So they're just like, no. Yeah. Also, by the way, this does nothing. This does nothing other than harming trans people. This does nothing for your alleged cause. Like what
Well,
do you actually achieve?
it does because you don't have to recognize transgendered people in different circumstances, right? You don't have to recognize them in workspaces, especially in the military. Um,
There.
and so if you're not recognized in the military and I owe you what is it? What do you call it? Retirement funds. Can't think of
Mm,
words right now. Um, you're not gonna get it, right? If you need medical care and you were in the military as a man and now you're a woman, I don't have to recognize that.
mm,
So a lot can happen. Um, I am very much concerned about this and especially all of the rollback of DEI initiatives. That's
talk about it.
that's my career.
That's what I'm
Um,
saying. Talk about it.
and not just like, oh, I'm worried about my job. It is the ignorance that people don't understand what DEI encompasses.
Hmm.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion talks about gender, it talks about socioeconomic issues. So anybody who is in in an environment where there is less resources can get support from the government because of DEI.
Hmm.
Anybody that is suffering with a physical issue can get support from the government. Um,
Hmm.
Kids in school get lunches because we need everybody should be equal. Everybody should be full when they start their school day. And so there are free lunch services for individuals who cannot afford it. There's a lot that's
Yeah.
wrapped up in DEI
You know
and
what kills
just
me? That it's
inclusion.
also.
just inclusion, just the fact that
Inclusion.
people in your workplace have to include you in conversations and have to think about, have I included enough voices in this major decision that we're doing? Is there any other in the boardroom?
Hmm. And other may not be as obvious, right? We're talking neurodivergent. We're
Yes.
talking, it amazes me that older people are voting for this when I'm like, hello, ageism.
Ageism.
This protects you
Yes.
too. But what it really is, again, these are like, I guess they would call it like dog whistles. Like these are just signals to specific people to say, no, we want to ensure that white, cis, hetero people are taken care of
Yeah.
and everybody else can go figure it out. I mean, the fact that you have, I don't even want to bring up the salute, but you know what I'm talking about. Like to be able to do this on a public stage, to be able to basically signal to your base that this is just white supremacy, that this is just white supremacy. We're not even pretending it's not.
I'm astonished at how many people came on media, social media, news media to tell me my eyes were not working. That's really scary. And that's triggering as a Black woman. People always will tell you, why are you so sensitive? And why are you
Mhm.
so, and why you, come on, calm down. I didn't mean it like that. And you know good and well they meant it like that, all the way like that. And you
Because
see,
they said it was an autistic response and you shouldn't take it seriously because of his, I think he has Asperger's. Like, dude, I don't know of a condition other than fascism and Nazism that would make you do that.
he's
Show
had
me
this,
the medical journal that says, as a result of autism, you might do a Nazi salute.
he's had this for as long as I've known him, right? And I've never seen him do this ever, 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 ever. So why now on this stage do you choose to do that?
Multiple times. Because
Wow.
he turned around and did it again. Multiple times. The gaslighting is girl.
You cannot sit while things like that happen. You got to speak out against it. It's not okay. It's not okay.
Definitely. Definitely not. I mean, we didn't even touch on all the other, executive orders and all the other things that are coming down the pipe because this is just, it's, I don't know how else to frame this other than say it's concerning,
Mhm.
not just because of what's happening, but because of the responses to it.
Yeah.
That there are middle class, union working white people who are like, no, he's definitely looking out for me.
Yeah.
Huh? The
Yeah.
mental gymnastics. I mean, it should be an Olympic sport. How did you get there?
Wow. Yeah, it's problematic seeing people champion for things that are against their own personal interest in the name of sticking it to others.
Yeah.
Like, how do you survive in that instance? I mean, look at all the natural disasters that are happening, and he's talking about not giving federal aid. You needed federal aid for the hurricanes, for the fires in LA. State funding is not enough.
Hmm.
You need federal aid. So
But rhetoric is powerful. There were people in Florida refusing FEMA workers because this politician told you not to. I mean, it's reported that they were actually threatening FEMA workers because they didn't want them to come and help. You just had a natural disaster affect your home, your business, your community, and these are people coming in to help, and you are telling them not to help you, who just suffered a tragedy, because a billionaire told you not to. I am concerned. I am concerned because I do think one thing I used to say, about politics, and we've had a two-party system in America forever. Um, I used to say that we're just looking at it differently, right? We both want to have America be a world power, be good for the people, the citizens. We want to be able to actually thrive in our country. And we're just looking at it differently. This time around, actually, no, 2016, I couldn't figure it out either. I don't understand. What is your perspective? What do you see happening? I mean, people, the I have to. Okay, I'm getting triggered at the moment. But the pardoning of January 6th insurrectionists, these are people who wanted to overthrow the American government that you are pardoning because they will help make the American government great? Make it make sense.
No, no.
And I've only seen two people come out and say, I don't want this pardon. I know what I did. I will own up to what I did.
Yeah.
But you're pardoning people who killed police officers. Aren't we pro blue, back the blue, blue lives matter? Okay. Um,
That's what I thought.
Threatening politicians, threatening their own party,
Yeah.
basically throwing a major tantrum
Mhm.
because this person told you to. Make it make sense. I don't know
Yeah.
of anyone who can tell me to put my body and life in harm's way because he didn't get something he wanted.
No. I I'm itching right now. Like I'm so triggered. Like just I'm just seeing flashes of history going by and it's
Mhm.
been done. It's been done already. And you don't have to go to Nazi Germany. Like you can go right here in America. It happened. Civil War era, there
Internment camps, Jim Crow, America, period. Just America, period.
America. America. Yeah. Yeah. I how do we how do we how do we not get triggered? How do we stay above the fray?
One thing I'm not going to keep doing is doom scrolling. Like, I'm not
Mm,
going to keep reading through because it's unfortunately, that's what scrolling does, and that's what algorithms do. They feed you content you're more likely to engage with. So you're just constantly being inundated with the same kind of content. The world is on fire, everything's terrible, there is no hope. Abandon all hope, ye who entered TikTok and Instagram.
yeah.
But I do think if you just change your algorithm. I've told you this. I've sometimes tried to trick my algorithm to show me puppies. Like I will just for a whole day like and comment on videos of puppies because at some point I need dopamine. I need something to take me out of this. And as much as I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm addicted to social media. I definitely go on, but yeah, as much as even though I'm not going on constantly, and I definitely don't stay on for as long as I know some people do. I think sometimes you need to trick your algorithm to show you different content, to just show you something good.
Yeah.
Because if you continue to doom scroll, you will just think everything is terrible and there's nothing you can do. And that unfortunately makes you apathetic. It makes you not take part in a resistance. It makes you not actually look for ways to support and help your fellow humans. You just get so overwhelmed that you literally just do nothing. It's a way to just make you catatonic. You just freeze.
Yeah.
And I do think you have to maybe just trick your algorithm. Click on some puppies, click on some babies, click on some nature. Click on some travel, but not to the places that currently hate us.
That
Don't
listening.
click on Greenland, Canada, Panama. Just, yeah.
I'm changing my algorithm to people who are looking for options, people who are suggesting options for change, um, groups that are giving information.
Hmm.
Maybe there's, political organizations. Maybe there's just organizations to help feed people, help shelter people, things that I can do. I don't know. Um, it's a bit much. It's a bit much.
It is a bit much. You know what that reminds me of? And I'm going way back. So this is like a deep cut for people who've been following Rant and Rave. It reminds me of when we had Dr. Chrisada Briant on. Was that season 2? Talking about
Wow.
how to get through the pandemic and how to cope and how to do, 5 tips for stress-free COVID pandemic, quarantine, whatever. I feel like we need to bring that back. So if you guys know the podcast, go back and look at it, iTunes, Spotify, and just remind yourself of those 5 tips for stress-free dealings with what's happening in the world. Because I feel like we just it's too much. We just keep getting pummeled with all of these different catastrophes and tragedies around the world. We need to find a way to release the stress.
Yeah. And one way that I release stress is by listening to music. Can I rave?
Yes, you can rave. I feel like we need to rave. We need to rave so hard.
So hard. I think this song is very apropos. We'll talk about it after. But here is Thankful by Farmer Nappy.
Another day above ground, I see. I focusing on the positives. Because yesterday I was down. People do me wrong. But it's love in me heart. When they try to take me for clown, I do them no wrong. Jaja have we back. And I shouting, oh Lord, I thankful. Oh Lord, I thankful. It's you who give me health and strength. Oh Lord, I thankful. It's you give me the handful. Every day you're blessing me. Only it and back and it's not in we nature. Money in we pocket. This life I want love it. Only it and back and it's not in we nature. Food on we table. I could and I able. Take a jump up and wave. I thankful for life. To see another sunrise. Me to one up in the air. All the stress on your mind, put them problems aside and give thanks, yeah, for another day. Don't forget to pray and give thanks, yeah, for another day. Don't forget to pray. Another day above ground, I say, thank you, Father. I'm focusing on the positives. Cause yesterday I was down, today I feel strong. Yes, His love in me heart. Dirty up my name around tongue. I do them no wrong. Jaja have we back. And I shouting, oh Lord, I thankful. Oh Lord, I thankful. It's you who give me health and strength.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. And I think this is so the right song for the moment. For me, I do thank God for keeping me. It was just my birthday the other day, and so thank you, Lord,
Shameless
for another
plug.
year. But also, sometimes you just got to say thank you. Like, thank you for the things that are working. Thank you for the things that are working right now. For now we have, you know, um, if you have life, if you have health, if you have family, be thankful for those things. And sometimes you just sit and journal. Dr. Crisada Brion would be happy to hear that. You sit and journal about the things you're thankful for. So your brain isn't going on the things that you should be scared of, fearful of. Sit and be thankful. Nature, outside,
Mhm.
a nice brisk cold air, a nice warm air. Sometimes you could just sit and be thankful instead of letting your brain hear all of the other things.
Very good advice. I especially love the nature. Go out, take a walk, see people, engage with people, understand that there are good people in the world and don't just be inundated with all the negative. Go have a nice interaction with people on the street, you know, as a New Yorker saying that. But yes, you spread love. It's the Brooklyn way, whatever. I definitely feel like sometimes this is where you need to lean on community, where you really need to just look around and be grateful for the people that are around you, that are supportive of you, that you see every day. Just give thanks. Give thanks for life. Give thanks for health and strength if you have it. Yes.
Yes. And you could take some time and just listen to a bunch of Rant and Rave episodes.
That
And
is a thing.
lots of fun episodes you can listen to keep your mind off of some of the craziness out there. So subscribe to Rant and Rave on YouTube and all social media.
And definitely make sure you are following us. Follow Soca Say So on all social media. Soca Say So. And make sure you are following Dish Chick, DYSCHICK, on all social media. Subscribe to my newsletter because, yeah, sometimes that is my way of getting things out, is just putting it into context so you stay informed, but you also stay light.
And I'd love to hear your comments about how you're coping. We don't need to go down the list of what you don't like. I want to know what can we do collectively or individually to cope with the situations that are triggering us right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, good idea.
Yeah. Okay. I feel better. I feel lighter.
It's just one cleansing breakfast.
Okay, bye.